For our earlier promoted conversation on the economy and investments, Africa's development and entrepreneurship, among other issues of national importance. We are now being joined here in our Lagos studio by Tony O. Elumelu, CON, Group Chairman, United Bank for Africa PLC, founder of the Tony Elumelu Foundation, and Chairman of Heirs Holdings, a family-owned investment company, a globally acclaimed corporate titan, and philanthropist. Welcome to the program, Mr. Elumelu. But I guess we can also call you TOE.
Yes, TOE. Thanks, Ruben. Good to see you.
By which Good
Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
But let's go down the lane of history. In 2010, right? You left your position as the GMD and CEO of United Bank for Africa, UBA. And then you plunged headlong into serial entrepreneurship, if we may use that phrase. Today, you run Heirs Holdings, you run Transcorp, you are into oil and gas, you have the Tony Elumelu Foundation, and you are into philanthropy, you are all over the place. Now, how do you manage to juggle all of this? And what are the challenges that you have faced in terms of managing your entrepreneurship strategies and outreach?
No, I think thanks for the opportunity of being here today. And let me start by commending and congratulating all of you, especially my friend, Luca Wena. This is phenomenal. This is awesome. You guys, well done. And this speaks to entrepreneurship. This is about what we do also. So in 2010, when I left UBA as the CEO, I founded the Heirs Holdings, and Heirs Holdings is a family investment company that invests in key sectors of the African economy. We basically are driven by our philosophy of Afro-capitalism. We want to see the private sector play its role in the economic development of our continent, and that is why we founded Heirs Holdings. And today, when we started, the ambition was to invest in help to improve lives and transform our continent. And we thought that the way to do this is by investing in critical sectors of the economy, such as power. Access to electricity, we believe, is very critical for the economic upliftment of our people. It's critical for developing our country. We also decided to make sure we have an integrated energy play, not just power, but make sure the gas feedstock that helps the power to operate is done. So that is why we also invested in oil and gas. For us, it's just to make sure the ecosystem is complete and we can actually help to power our country out of poverty and into economic prosperity. We also believe that hospitality is critical, for attracting investment into our country and the continent, and hence the acquisition of Transcorp Hilton Hotel in Abuja. And today, we're doing a lot. I hope we'll have time to talk about some of this in that space. And in the area of hospital and healthcare, we also are doing quite a lot to help improve the human capital of our country, because we have seen with the pandemic that health is wealth. So talking about the challenges and how we're able to juggle all of this, as I've always said, investment and success in private sector to a large extent depends on leadership surrounding itself with capable hands that are even more intelligent than the leadership. So in our group, we have quite a lot, and it seems to people that it's stressful. Yes, it's tough, but I am blessed with capable hands. If you look at Transcorp, you have a competent leadership, both the CEO of Transcorp, Owen Omogafo, and the other CEOs that work with her, Dubel, Lushola, Vincent, who runs our power plant, Chris, who also runs our second power plant. These are very capable people. They help to fire our growth. If you look at the area of healthcare, Dr. Elumelu, my wife, she runs... she
was on this program once.
Yeah, she was. I saw the one question, a difficult question you asked her. So she also runs our Avon medical business, and then Simbo Kiri runs the Avon HMO. So these are great leaders who help to to make this entrepreneurship enterprise a bit, not simple, but not as difficult as it would have been. And of course, as Odin is, we have the guru himself, Emmanuel Noron, who is daily, making sure that the engine is running. My job today is more of thinking, more of sitting at board sessions with them, providing some level of strategic direction at that level, but allowing them to do what they know how to do. The challenge we face is basically the challenge of, as it is with every enterprise, you do have the economy, how do you manage the macro issues, how do you manage the socio-economic issues. So those are things, but basically, we're happy what we're doing, and the Tony Elumelu Foundation was so happy that we're able to impact lives and help to transform our continent through the economic empowerment of our young ones.
So I want to take you back to where Dr. Abati started in 2010, when you were forced to step down as MD CEO of United Bank for Africa at the age of 47, with so much to still offer the bank. Would you now say, I mean, when you look back on the amazing trajectory that you had, that the then governor of CBN, Sanusi Lamido Sanusi, did you a huge favor?
Yeah, I think I tell you the story. This is part of what people don't know. So we had bankers committee meeting. At the end of bankers committee meeting on that day, he said, CEOs who had done 10 years will step aside. So, but the next day, that day I called our chairman to explain to our chairman what happened, and we convened an emergency board meeting. And at the board meeting, it was a divided house for the first time. Some directors said, no, we have to go to court. We have to contest it. Some directors, just one or two, did not think so. But I spoke, and I told the board members, I said, there are 5 critical stakeholders here. There is the customers of UBA. Would they like to know that we took our regulator to court? No. That the staff of UBA, would they be comfortable working in a bank that's taking regulator to court? I said, no. I said, the third constituents, the shareholders in UBA, would they be comfortable to know that you took your regulator to court? No. I said, the regulators themselves, they will fight with me because you're daring us. So they wouldn't like it. I said, so 4 constituents would not like us going to court. There's only one constituent that may like it, and that's Tony Elumelu. So I said, this stakeholder is 1/5, is 20%. It's not enough to go to court to regulate because of this. We don't need to contest. And by the way, 10 years actually is also not bad. And I had been planning to move on. I was planning to leave at 50. So what happened was this kind of fast-tracked the time I had planned to move on. And so that was what happened. And that also was why within 24 hours we appointed a successor. Because we have a strong, at United Bank for Africa, the succession pipeline of succession is always there. That you can always find 2, 3, 4, 5 who can step in at any time. So that was what happened. Now, looking back today, first I said I had planned to leave at 50, it was 47, so we fast-tracked it. Is it good that it happened? Yes, I'm happy. I look back today, we've done quite a lot. It's always been about imparting humanity. It's always been about improving lives. It's always been about transforming everything we do. In business, we're known as turnaround experts because we take businesses, we transform businesses. In philanthropy, we're also trying to catalyze that to help create a new crop of African leaders. It's all about transforming our society, all about making sure that we leave this society better than we met it. And to me, that opportunity to start this 3 years ahead of the planned time, a blessing from God. And
okay, let's take the next question from our colleague, Rufai. Rufai Husseini, right. GOE is here for you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Abati, and thank you so much, Mr. Tony Elumelu, for all your giant strides. I think, save for UBA, all your business interests, there's an unwritten rule, and the rule is, leaders and managers don't stay long. 2-3 years, you move them and you juggle things and you turn them around. And when they even retire, you push them up to board level in all your companies. you know, is it a management style to keep them on their toes, or is it just something for you to retain control because you push them around? There's a revolving door kind of management style going on. Anyway, it's unwritten, but what's your take on that?
Can you...
Hello, you didn't hear him. Okay, he asked you a question about your management style.
Okay.
You have these officials who are constantly deployed from one business to the other, and you kick them upstairs, you juggle around with them. Is it a way of ensuring that you are in charge? Or is it a way of keeping them on their toes? That was his question.
I don't know the reference to he's making, but I don't want to say that in the 21st century, that's not the way to lead. You don't juggle to show that you're in charge. But the truth is, only the partner and the group said...
I mean, this point is, you left as MD, but somehow you still came back as chairman of the bank.
No, I will explain that. So only the partners survive, you know. And in this business, in the private world, you know, you need to make sure you know the balance. You bring consistency between the external world and internal world. You need to make sure that your strategies have been executed as planned. And for us, what we do in our group, we have like CEOs in different companies within our group. We believe in longevity and time for people to settle in. And so our CEOs, we don't change our CEOs, no. But me coming back as chairman of UBN, there was a cooling off period. I served my cooling off period, and at the end of it, I came back as chairman of UBA. We believe strongly that business leaders should be agile, should do their job very well, help to execute our strategy. And I would say that we do have a crop of young, talented leaders upcoming. And I am impressed with the way they go about accomplishing our corporate objectives. I think UBA, Heirs, Transcorp, the Elumelu Foundation, these guys, they try. They were impressed. You know, you asked me earlier on how I'm able to deal with all of these responsibilities. The reason we're able to cope is because we have the right pegs, right pegs and right holes. We have people who are strong and who are helping execute this very well, and they take the pressure off me.
Okay. Well, let's talk about Transcorp. You mentioned Transcorp earlier on. Transcorp is into hospitality, oil and gas, power, and, you know, various sectors of the economy. The other day I saw your pictures. You had an event at the Transcorp Hilton with some of the members of your team. But what's your take on the power sector in Nigeria today? Because you play in that sector. What do you think needs to be done to make it more efficient, more effective, particularly in terms of service delivery?
You know, the power sector, there are three parts to it. You know, this generation, the transmission, and the last mile, that is the distribution. Transcorp, through Transcorp Power and Afam Power, we today in Nigeria, we own the highest generating capacity in the country. We have generating capacity of about 2,000 mega that can generate 2,000 megawatt of electricity a day. But unfortunately, we do less than 500 megawatts at this point in time. A major constraint in this area is gas. You know, gas. Then there's issue of transmission, evacuation of the generated electricity, and then there's also the issue of payment. Okay, for this to work well, for us to be able to generate more, we need to have gas, and that is why our group, we invested in oil and gas. Investing in oil and gas for us as a group is not necessarily because of oil. It is more because of gas. We want to be able to assure, control our destiny, have gas from our oil and gas production to convert it to electricity. And, you know, the acquisition we did recently, happy to say that it's already supplying gas to our power plant. But going back to the other elements, the issue of the transmission, we need to make sure we stabilize our transmission lines so that they can take up. I mean, if this country needs at least 100,000 megawatts of electricity, 100 megawatts of electricity, 1,000 megawatts of electricity a day for us to power the economy. But today, we operate less than 5,000. We need to do more. And so the transmission lines, we need to make sure they stabilize. Another critical part is payment, the distribution, metering, payment, and co. And here I must commend the Central Bank Governor, Governor Mayfield. He's done very well because he came into that end to help generate increased revenue in that space. And before, let me tell, up until the end of this year, last year, the NBET used to pay about less than 20% of power supplied. But today, they pay, it's improved up to 50%, and they don't owe so much. Transcorp Power alone is owed over 100 billion naira, but it's gradually improving. So for the power sector in Nigeria to work well, and it must work well if we have to drive this economy, we need to increase generation, make sure we fix gas supply to generating companies. We need to make sure the transmission lines are capacitized to evacuate the power. We need to also make sure that power generated are taken by discos and they meter the end users, and that they pay, so that if I generate electricity, I should be able to get money from generating so that I can service my obligations also, as well as make sure that the spares, in particular, are serviced, and the machine, the equipment is serviced well, and spares are actually acquired to make the generating plants running. So those are the things we need to do. And how would I have said the journey so far? I think it's still a critical sector. We need to invest in the sector, and the stakeholders need to make sure that it works. Because if it works, then the country's economic development becomes more real. If it doesn't work, it's going to be a problem. Through the Elumelu Foundation, we support young entrepreneurs. And if you ask them, what are the challenges you face in this country, they tell you that it's poor access to electricity. And so any amount you give, some of them will not succeed because they spend so much on electricity. Even in the hospital business, even healthcare, every sector of our economy, even schools, education, we need to fix the power sector. And I think we need to prioritize it more. But I commend, as I said, the efforts going on that we have now, making sure we privatize the remaining ones. But the transmission lines we need to fix, and we need to make sure we improve the payment system. Okay,
if I may ask, Tundo, sorry, if I may ask a follow-up question. Do you think that the Nigerian government should unsolve transmission? And are you going to make a bid for some of those GENCOs that the government is proposing to privatize? Omotosho, Geregu, Olorun Shogo, and some of the other...
I think I know someone who's going for Geregu already. My friend's going for Geregu.
So which one are you going for?
No, I think we will be interested in one of the hydros. Yes, we will be interested. Now, in the area of the transmission lines, yeah, I think that ultimately, it should be private. In fact, what some of us have advocated is that the GENCOs and the DISCO, the entire power stakeholders should come together and have a deal with the federal government, take over the transmission lines, and it is in our self-interest to make sure it works. If you have the transmission lines and it doesn't work and you're generating, there won't be any, you can't pick, no one is going to, there's no way you evacuate your power. So that sector is so critical and pivotal for the survival of our power sector. Is critical for improving access to electricity. Where it is now, no problem. If it's, what is important to us as operators is have expanded capacity. But I'm sure if you talk to people in the transmission business line area, they will also give you reasons why they have constraints that exist there today. But to us, we want to see improvement, massive improvement. We should be able to, we need to capacitize that space. And I think the Ericsson deal, I'm told, is all to make that happen. Details of that I don't know, but I'm told is to help capacitize the transmission lines.
So then, do you subscribe to the unbundling of the TCN, Transmission Company of Nigeria, for efficiency in the power sector?
Yeah, that's what I just said there. I think, first, I don't know much, and I don't like to be a professor in an area I don't know more, but I know that the transmission sector in the power equation, power industry, we need to improve capacity in that area. And whatever we need to do to make that happen, we should do so. And time is now, because we're all suffering this. There's no reason. At times, our generating plants, run into difficulty because you generate and it can be taken. And so the power plant can just break down. So all of that frustration we don't need in the power sector. Whatever it takes to fix that sector, we should. But as I said earlier, some of us in the power generating space have signified interest to be involved, in the transmission end, so that collectively we should be able to make it work. So, but even when that works, we need to make sure that the last mile also that people pay. We meter and people pay. The distribution companies should also take what is supplied to them, and that when they take it, they should pay to government. They should pay to MBE, so MBE will be able to pay the GENCO. So each of the three critical parts must work well. The generating companies must generate. The distribution company the transmission company must transmit. The distribution company must make sure it gets to end users, because that's actually where the impact of this electricity begins to. So people begin to feel the impact.
Absolutely. Now I'm going to take a detour to your hospitality division of Transcorp that announced some years ago that you'd be building a hotel in Ikeja, Glover Road to be precise, and nothing has become of the project. So is it still in the pipeline? When will construction commence? What's going on?
Yes, it is in the pipeline. We had issue with certain authorizations, from government. That slowed things down. But we have done the piling and everything, but I think we're in a good place now. We're in a good place now. The hospitality business is, I must commend our leadership in that space. Again, it's about having good people work with you. They are doing quite a lot. They have been very innovative, very creative, thinking of so many things. So soon, watch that space. I believe before the end of this year, you see they're coming up with certain plans. They are about to start executing certain plans. The hotel is a long-term, medium to long-term plan, but in the short term, they want to do certain things. So watch that space. I think before the end of this year, you would see some commercial activities going on there.
All right. Thanks as always for your insight, and I'm sure you can hear me properly now. Yes. I'd like to talk to you about Afriland Properties, one of the business you have interest in. Old Falomo Shopping Complex is just next to us here. And, Lagos State Government, Babátúndé Fáṣọlá, did give, approvals for redesigning into the state-of-the-art shopping mall and the likes, but now we know that has been revoked by Governor Ambode. I mean, what's the state with that? We'd like to hear more as regards that project. Is the project still going on?
No, I think the Falomo Shopping Complex were extremely excited. We wanted to do something, put up something very magnificent, because for us, most of us growing up in Lagos, Falomo is kind of the heart of Lagos. We ran into difficulty with the Ambode government, again, government authorizations, and we kind of went to court, but at some point, there's a limit to how you can litigate on these things. But where we are now is very good. Last Sunday, I had meetings on this, and I'm happy to say that the government, the company, the investors in the company were all finally coming together, and we want to start it again. But this time we're thinking of putting up a office complex, and then an hotel and a small mall in the place, because there's also concern about traffic congestion there. So we have finally come to terms, and under the new leadership in Lagos State. So it's quite interesting. It started with Fashola's regime, and then Ambode's regime truncated it. And now the new government, Sanwo-Olu, Governor Gosonolu is again reviving it. So we're happy as we're there now. Unfortunately, it costs more to do compared to what would have done. Actually, by now, it would have been all up because, you know, if you look at the exchange rate then and compared to today, it's totally different. So it will cost almost like 3 times. And that's why we're also changing the whole initial concept. But we want something extremely iconic in that place. Extremely iconic, and you'll be proud of what you see there at the end of the day.
Well, earlier on you talked about AFAM power plant.
Yes.
And you said that it has the capacity to supply up to about 2,000 megawatts.
Yeah.
But that has not happened. But, okay, AFAM Genco, which you have in Uyigbo, River State, you understand it costs about over 100 billion naira. But Transcorp has not yet completed payment for both plants. So when is this expected to happen? That's AFAM Power Station and AFAM 3 East Power Limited. Because, I mean, somebody listening to you that, oh, AFAM Power Station can do 2,000, would think that maybe there are certain issues that you are facing, but the issue is about payments in the public domain. But before you respond to that, let's take a quick commercial break. And when we return, Tony O. Elumelu is still here with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the morning show here on the AriseNews channel. Our guest is still here. Is Tony O. Elumelu, CON, Commander of the Niger. Group Chairman, United Bank for Africa, PLC, founder of the Tony Elumelu Foundation, and Chairman of Heirs Holdings. TOE, before we went on that break, I had asked you a question about AFAM Genco and why you have not concluded the payments as required, and yet you are saying, oh, it has the capacity to do 2,000 megawatts in the power sector. Could you please clarify what the situation is?
Okay, so first is Transnational Corporation of Nigeria, Transco, has 2 companies in the power sector. And the companies, the Transcorp Power and TransAfam Power Plant. They are limited companies. So Transcorp Power owns the Oyele Power Plant. The installed capacity of Oyele Power Plant is 990 megawatts of electricity. We own that 100%. Okay. The second plant is the AFAM Power Plant. So I thought I should put everything proper, clarify things properly. The AFAM Power Plant, TransAfam Limited, is a $300 million acquisition. You know, our deal with the federal government is the plant has not been completed. GE is handling the fast power, okay? And they intend, they promise to complete it this year. For federal government, they believe in what we have done at Oyele Power Plant. When we took over the Oyele Power Plant, it was generating 150 megawatts of electricity per day. We took it daily generation to 750 megawatts, and in record time. And federal government of Nigeria was very impressed by us. And by the way, that was under President Jonathan's regime, okay? And now, under the President Buhari's regime, we did the AFAM. So the current government, impressed with our track record in Oyele, allowed us to invest here. And the understanding is that GE will complete it, but before pending that, we wanted to take over the plant. I was okay, pay 25%, take over the plant, and supervise the completion of that installation, which is ongoing now. Again, thanks to federal government, thanks to the Minister of Finance, and thanks to CBN government. They are making the payment so that GE can complete it. When GE completes it, we make the final payment. So that TransAfam Power is also 990 megawatts. That's the 2 combined. Gives us the 2,000 capacity, generating capacity I spoke about. So that is it fact. We'll let people know the fact. But I think it's all about comfort with us. We have the track record of turning around businesses. In this case, the generating plants. Having seen what we did at Uele, moving it from 150 to about 750 megawatts per day, and also the need. Nigeria needs huge electricity. We don't have enough. And I think government is doing the right thing, encouraging people who have the track record, the capacity to help improve electricity to do so. And we want to do that and want to even do more in the country in this space. With our gas supply now to the power plant, we think we're just starting.
Thank you for that clarification. Now on to your oil and gas interests. Earlier this year, Heirs Holdings acquired a 45% stake previously held by Shell, Total, and Eni in Oil Mining License 17. Now, does that deal give Heirs Holding operatorship, or is that going to be handled by the Nigerian Petroleum Development Company? The acquisition of investment in oil and gas by Heirs Oil and Gas is one that speaks to our overall energy strategy. Our energy strategy is integrated, is to make sure that we help the last mile, the last person, the Nigerian citizens and West African citizens to have improved access to electricity. So we acquired the OMS 17 from the international oil companies you mentioned, and then we made a case to the NNPC, and we justified that we have the capacity and capability to operate the asset, and they gave us, they approved for us to operate. So I'm happy to say that it's a truly indigenous oil and gas company, owned by Nigerians, operated also by Nigerians. And between when we took over and now, again, there's an improvement. Today, we produce about 31,000 barrels of oil per day, which is a slight improvement from what it was on to go. And we think we're just starting. We think we're just starting. Actually, the CEO of the company resumed just yesterday. He resumed yesterday, and our ambition is to do over 100,000 barrels of oil per day, because the asset in the past has produced close to that. So we want to do what we know how to do, extracting value for stakeholders. We'll do it there. So yes, we are happy to have that responsibility to operate this asset, and we think it will be done to the benefit of all stakeholders, the government, the host community, and the investors.
Right. Thank you so much, and congratulations, I should say, from your recent acquisition and adding more value, to society. But there are concerns expressed by market observers that those acquisitions, are funded by UBA. Is that true? And what's UBA's exposure to your companies by the way of insider lending? Because it's a sticking point. I would just like to know all of this.
Okay, thanks. Let's start with the oil and gas acquisition we just made. UBA did not even participate in the funding. It's a club of international and local lenders. In fact, it's, for people to know, the local receiving bank for our proceeds is Union Bank of Nigeria. The international receiving bank for the proceeds of our oil sales is Standard Chartered Bank London. The transaction, if people read, they would have seen it was funded by consortium of banks, Standard Chartered Bank, ABSA in South Africa, the AfriExim, Union Bank, even Fidelity Bank in Nigeria, and then a host of other internationals. So we are minded and mindful of all these issues, and we're very, very, very prudent in making sure we do not put pressure on the bank. So yes, we go out to seek funds to support our operations. We also put in equity investment, our own investment. But when we need to get funding, we try not to put pressure on the institution.
Okay, what's UBA's exposure by the way of insider lending to your company, sir? Hello, sir? Hello? Can you hear me? Yes. I said, what's UBA's exposure by the way of insider lending to your company, sir?
So I just explained to you the question you asked about the funding that UBA gives to our acquisitions. The other businesses like the Transcorp Power, UBA participated in the syndication that was done for the Transcorp Power acquisition. UBA, AFC, FCMB, Fidelity, 2 other banks. And so that is the exposure, but this is not the forum for me to tell you the exposure. But what is important is also that it's within the single obligor limit that what UBA should expose to a company. And it's, by the way, it is performing very, very, very well.
Okay, TOE, before I ask you the next question, there's somebody who just sent me a WhatsApp message. He says, wow, you got the usually media elusive Elumelu to appear on live TV. A great man indeed.
Thank you.
Well, I don't know whether you are media elusive, but that's what he's saying. But his next paragraph, he says, a great man indeed. He said he willingly picked the bill for my flight ticket to the US when I had critical health issues. Inspiring man. Well, I don't think he wants me to mention him on TV, but we'll get to the issue of philanthropy later. But let me ask you a question as a follow-up to what you just talked about. Now we have this issue between First Bank, Nigeria Limited, FBN, and the Central Bank over the same issue of insider trading, insider manipulations, insider lending. Do you think that the situation could have been handled differently? Do you think that FBN Holdings and FBN and also the Central Bank could have adopted a different strategy to prevent this sordid situation that we now have confronting us that gives the impression that there's so much rot in the banking sector? How would you have handled it if you were involved and you were in a position to offer advice?
I think you need to understand my unique situation here on this question. So I'm chairman of a competing institution, United Bank for Africa. It may not be prudent for me to express a judgment or comment on this because yeah, it might not be very professional of me. You know, I'm a chairman of a bank, and we're talking of another competing institution. I leave that to those who are not so involved to comment on. But I think basically, both I know the shareholders in the bank. I also know the regulators and the regulatory mindset. Regulators want a sound and safe banking environment. And I believe the shareholders also seek that. And in due course, I believe they'll be able to resolve the issues. And, you know, regulators want to see a sound and safe banking environment. And the people involved in UB, NDM, First Bank, I believe, also uphold the tenets of best corporate governance. So I think the issues will be resolved.
You are playing safe.
Yeah,
you don't want to offend anybody.
No, not about offending. I don't think it's professional because it's like me making a judgment on another, because we're competitors. If I were not like chairman of a bank, I can come and say how, but yes. What is, to me, that is important is best practice, you know, sound corporate governance, survival of the Nigerian banking system. And I must say that, that the sector has done very well. You know, the Nigerian banking sector has done very well. The regulatory, both the participants, the players, and not the regulators. If you talk to people, United Bank for Africa operates in 20 African countries. United Bank for Africa is the only African bank that operates in the United States of America, the only African bank that is a deposit-taking licensed bank in the U.S. and a member of the Federal Reserve Clearing System. And we're also in the UK. And the toughest regulatory environment in the world is U.S. you know. And I would say that you being a bank with Nigerian heritage or background, operating in the toughest regulated environment in the world, gets a 4 rating, 2 rating. 2 is 80%, 2 over 5 is a 2 rating in the US. It's something that must give pride to everyone, Nigerian, and Nigerian regulators in particular, that an offshoot of a Nigerian banking system is doing so well there. We're also in the UK, and then of course across Africa, and we see the standards. Our regulation has changed in Nigeria, changed totally. And I commend all stakeholders, because it's not only about regulators, also those who are regulated. Is a two-way thing to create this kind of environment. So I'm sure this will also be resolved.
Now, your businesses have had to contend with the headwinds brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic and the challenging microeconomic situation that we have right now, the environment. So how have you dealt with those challenges, and how would you want the government to approach ensuring that other businesses thrive and jobs are created?
That's so cool. So first, it's been tough, you know. Within the first time I saw the CEO of UBA since March last year was on the 6th of April, the AGM date, 5th of April. That's the first time since 2020 March. We had meeting last about the 18th of March 2020. We didn't see each other until just April because of this COVID. Things have changed, you know. We never anticipated this. I'll tell you this story. At Heirs, we had a meeting, and the HR, January last year, the HR organization came and they were presenting by the new work model and the way of working. And then they said that, you know, we need to consider off-site working arrangement. People should consider maybe in a week. People maybe can take some days and work at home. So when they were presenting it, I said, "Sky guys, stop, please. Don't get too excited. How can people work off like? You have to come to work 8 in the morning and close."
Well, they had to try.
And close in the evening. That was January last year, okay? Now, fast forward to March, the pandemic started, and he just heard me say, the CEO of UBA, I saw him only once since March last year to April this year. And of course, how do we work today? Offline. Things have changed. And this has the world has moved many times. You know, the digital evolution that has occurred is, you can't even understand it. Now, how do we survive this? To us, we've come to realize further that people are indeed critical. And for people, if you understand that your people, your human capital are the best, then their health becomes very important, and how they work and everything. We've seen the hazard of what this pandemic has caused. It's a health issue. So we are trying to make sure that we embrace the new world, and it's not been easy, you know. And I must, use this opportunity to commend our staff and also commend workers generally. In fact, I posted a tweet, I did a blog some days ago just to commemorate the Workers' Day. And honestly, I said to workers any and everywhere, you know, I commend you all and off my heart, because it's been a tough regime, tough environment, you know. And if you look at banking, for instance, and some other essential areas, people have to work, you know. And so it's like putting your life at stake, you know. If you look at the power generating business for us, how you have to generate electricity. Nigeria can be in dark. Okay? If you look at health workers, they have to go out to make sure they even support others. So it's been very, very difficult and challenging. And yes, May 1 this year, to me, was truly symbolic, and one that I thought should not just pass without us saluting the courage, the perseverance, the suffering of our people. Not just people working in our group, but workers everywhere, especially in Nigeria. It's tough. Now, talking about what government should do, I think, for me, there's so much to be done. You know, government they're trying. There's still room to do more. And the whole philosophy of African capitalism is just don't look up to government only for solution to all these issues. Those of us in the private sector, what can we do to also augment or support the government so that we have the right environment for everyone? I must say that in Nigeria here, even if I say so myself, the central bank governor put together this CACOVID, what we call the CACOVID, the founding members of CACOVID, central bank governor, Aliko Dangote, Absamad Bua, Jim Ovia, and a few others, come together to support, the country, through various means, putting money on the table to make sure that we'll survive this period, and also advising government on economic policies and programs that should be deployed to manage it. People see today that there's travel. People can come into Nigeria. Nigeria opened up, but they don't know what happened. The process, a lot will happen from behind the scene. A lot. We even spent money. We engaged government. This has to happen because these are the benefits. Money was spent. And technology. I know that IT team at UBA, Zenith, Guarantee Trust Bank, and Access Bank, there was a period they didn't sleep, working around the clock to deploy a platform that will help manage movement in and out of the country by people, to enable the opening up. So a lot is going on, and all stakeholders are trying to. We have a role to play in making sure that things work better.
But we would still like to talk about philanthropy, Afro-optimism, Afro-capitalism, and the central bank policies. So let's see how we can pack all of that into the remaining minutes. But before then, Rufai is there.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Abati, and thank you so much, Tony Elumelu. You'll have noticed a new trend. A lot of blue chip multinationals are going up to Ghana. There was a furor recently about Twitter going up to Ghana. And the argument has always been the market they're targeting is Nigeria because of the adjacency, from Ghana to Nigeria. The question will be, how can you are the man, Mr. Africa Capitalism himself, how can you sell Nigeria, to the world? What does Nigeria have to offer? And I also want to make a case about ease of doing business. Is this not because of the ease of doing business climate in Nigeria? Will this not impact on, AFCTA, Africa Free Trade Zone and the likes, and, that movement of trade amongst ourselves in Africa?
The point you make is a valid point, and one that keeps some of us, up at night. My heart bleeds when you see such conglomerates, moving their investments or quarters from Nigeria to Ghana. Nigeria is a market. It's a huge market. And honestly, the macroeconomic environment is beginning to improve. The concern most of them have is security challenges we have in the country. But for us as private sector, the best way we sell our country is through the investment that we make. When I go out and people say Nigeria things are bad, I say to them, the glass is half full. There's nowhere else you get the kind of returns on investment as what you get here in Nigeria. And I speak as an investor in Nigeria and an investor in Africa, as an investor in other parts of the world. I just told you about investment in the US and in the UK and Co. and France. But the truth is we just need to be totally aware of the trend of people moving out of the country to invest in or locate in tangential economies, smaller economies. I know that the Minister of Trade and Investment, Nia Adebayo, when I talk with him, he tells me plans, his ministry, what they are doing to improve that. I know the Vice President of the country has been driving the ease of doing business. I know that the Finance Minister has been encouraging people. I know the Central Bank Governor has been encouraging. So we just need to keep doing all of that. All of us need to keep working together. But for us, the private sector, when we invest in Nigeria, it signals, it tells our friends outside the country that for us, we're not stupid. We are making economic decisions, investment decisions. For us, when we invest in Nigeria, it shows that there are opportunities in Nigeria. We just attracted $1.1 billion. You asked the question about the funding. I just told you only 2 Nigerian banks participated in the funding, and that is Fidelity and Union Bank. The bulk of that money came from outside the country. That is the kind of signaling, the confidence-boosting measure we all need to take to help correct this. But ultimately, the ease of doing business must improve for the country to attract and retain investments in Nigeria. Capital, global capital is looking for investment destination. They will go to where they are most welcome. And the aspiration of all of us, is to make sure that Nigeria is seen as that place where private capital should settle in. And all of us must play our own role in making this a reality.
Okay. Next question. Looks like you have many fans out there. This person has sent me a WhatsApp message. He says, TOE showed excellent corporate good manners by not passing judgment on the currency First Bank imbroglio. That's commendable. Well, this is this person's opinion. But beyond that, the next question I want to ask you, well, this should not be about corporate good manners. We just want you to tell us the truth. What do you think of the Forex management situation in Nigeria and how the federal government, the CBN, is going about it? We have numerous FX windows, and the Bretton Woods institutions, they've asked for full currency float. They've asked for convergence of the FX markets. What would you like to see? Where would you like to stand? And this should not be about good manners.
No, I can speak on this. And by the way, in about 2 years ago, I think, there was a time our vice president convened a meeting of a few of us to express opinion of just talk about the economy. I took a position there, and people were in attendance, so I was quite critical of certain things at the time, and it had to do with some of the things said about different markets. But today, when things change, improve, if you've been critical, you also should be bold to comment, to say that things are moving in the right direction. I think that convergence, I support it 100% on currency, and I think we're there. On the issue of convertibility and other things, I think at times it's easier to prescribe, and when you're on the saddle or the seat, you see issues more differently. Let's look at Nigeria. Okay? We generate foreign currency largely from oil. We used to produce about 2.5 million barrels of oil before. Today, I think about 1.4 million barrels of oil a day. So that should have impact on our foreign currency. No rocket science. Also, there was a time oil was $100 per barrel. Today, it dropped to almost 30, 40. Today, thankfully, it's back 69. Today, this morning, $69 per barrel. So there's a basket of so many things you have to watch as economic managers in making decisions. There's a lot of pressure on our foreign currency, and anyone you put there can only point to get before there. But when you enter there, you will see. And I think I don't even know how they do it. They try, but what people want to see, from our side is we want a low exchange rate. We want this. But in business world, people want predictability. People want to predict, that this will be available when I need it. And I think, to a large extent, that is happening now in Nigeria. As a bank, when we have board meeting, the management, they will bring the memos to request acceptance, to accept foreign lines. So foreign lines come into Nigeria and co. But we need to do more. We need to improve our productive base as a country. We need to make sure we diversify our foreign exchange earning sources as a country. We need to make sure the question our friend asked about the ease of doing business, creating the right environment that will enable people, businesses, entrepreneurs to thrive, to succeed. We need to put that in so that collectively, all of this will help in what we have in the basket of our foreign exchange. And the demand and supply. You know, if we have a lot of it, it will affect the price. But if it's few, the supply is short, then and demand is high as it is, because we're 200 million population, then it will be a problem for us. So it's convergence, yes. Are we there now? I think, to the best of my knowledge, I think the market. I don't hear again of different rates in the market, you know, today. So, but we need to fix the supply side. We need to fix the supply side as a country.
Now let's move on to the Tony Elumelu Foundation, which you established 11 years ago. And it's played a major role in empowering African entrepreneurs through your funding and mentoring programs. How many startups have you funded? And you know, what's your impact across the continent with regards to job creation?
No, thanks. You know, so the Tony Elumelu Foundation will put together to help create more successful African business leaders, because we believe that the future of Africa is in our young ones, and also entrepreneurship has a key role to play in developing our continent. And some of us have been lucky growing up, and to me it was an opportunity to democratize luck, to give luck to those who have ideas. You know, we all are who and what we are today because of, at some point in our lives, people gave us help in some hand to pull us up. So I just thought it would be useless of me to say I have money in bank account if there's poverty all around us. So the foundation was set up to support young Africans, male, female, Nigerians, Africans, and to every year we support them with $5,000 non-refundable seed capital, 8,000 people every year. We train them for 12 weeks, okay? We appoint mentors for them to help handhold them. We create a networking platform. We have what we call the TF Connect, and largest digital networking platform for African entrepreneurs. And then we give them the $5,000 so that they do well. So this is the 7th year, and we have, as a foundation, every year we support on our own 1,000. But fortunately, because we preach, when we go at our global advocacy, is that in the 21st century, you must engage with Africa, not from outside, but from within, and from the point of view of what we consider important. We know we appreciate aid, we appreciate donating money for flood, this and that, but we know, more importantly, that we want to become fishermen, we want to be able to fend for ourselves, we want to create entrepreneurs who will feed themselves, feed their families, maintain the dignity of existence, and support our overall economic growth. So people are listening, and today we have like UNDP, we have UNDP, we have European Union just gave $25 million, you know, which is going to impact people this year, this current campaign. That's time. I started training people 2 days ago. This is going to impact people to support 2,400 females across Africa. So the Tony Elumelu, we run on time. Okay, the Tony Elumelu Foundation, we're happy. What has happened so far? About 10,000 Nigerians and young Africans, other Africans have benefited from the program, and we're still counting. Every year, the participation or the support is increasing. We give our own 1,000, and our partner institutions also come together. The UNDP, we've done quite a lot in Sahel region, you know, with UNDP. We've done now, as I said, with European Union, the International Red Cross in northeastern part of Nigeria and Niger Delta part of Nigeria to support the young people. So it's growing, And for us, ultimately, we want all of us to join hands in fixing unemployment. Our young ones are suffering. There's hopelessness, and we want to, through the intervention of the Elumelu Foundation, we want to help encourage them, to give them hope, through the seed capital we provide, through the training we provide for them, through the mentoring program we provide, and so that they all succeed. And collectively, all of us can fix the unemployment situation we have in Nigeria. Job creation is very important for us to have peace in our society.
Right, sir. Thank you so much for your great insights. You champion the concept Africa capitalism. Is it an ideology? Are you going to churn out a book on it someday soon? Is it a new way of thinking in Africa? What is it really? Let's talk more about Africa capitalism. What's the driving force behind this mantra? Let's talk about it.
So Africa capitalism is kind of, first, is not an ideology. So I have seen firsthand the poverty around us here. I was born and bred in Nigeria, in Africa here. I've seen two sides of both sides of the coin. So I've worked in Africa, I've done my business in Africa, and made some earnings in Africa. And I've come to realize that the private sector does have a role to play in developing Africa. So Africa Plan is just a call from one private sector person to the others, saying we all have a role to play in the development of our continent. And how do we do so? By investing in critical sectors of the African economy. Not trading, critical sectors, infrastructure, power, improving access to electricity, railways. We need to do all of this to help the continent develop. And so by investing long-term in these critical sectors, that at the end of the day, it creates economic prosperity for you, the investor, but at the same time, it creates social wealth and social prosperity for everybody. It becomes a win-win for everyone. That is what so it's like a new way of investing, a new way of doing business, a new way of being involved in true and meaningful way in developing our continent. So when at Transcorp, for instance, we invest in power. We invest in power to make money, but more importantly, we invest in power to catalyze the economic development of Nigeria, to help Nigeria improve and increase access to electricity, because be it students, patients in hospitals, businesses, small-scale business, even big businesses, you can't do well if there's no access to electricity. Our young ones are multi-talented, extremely talented. I tell you, if we improve access to electricity in this country, we'll create our own Silicon Valley here, we'll create our own Steve Jobs here, we'll create our own Bill Gates here. What is holding our people down to a large extent is the absence of power. And so African capitalism is like realizing all of this and calling everyone, the private sector invest, and the real sector, and also government for private sector to invest and do well. You must create what you talked about before, the enabling environment that will enable their investments to germinate and prosper. You must help them nurture this to succeed. And to our international partners, to say to international partners, come, we have a new crop of leaders in Africa today. We're no longer, it's no longer about briefcase business people. We have tangible investment in Africa. Come and let's team up together to create a new Africa. That is the African capitalism. It's not an ideology. It's a way we must operate henceforth if we're truly serious about the economic development of Africa from within to a large extent, with the support of our friends and with government creating the right environment that will enable private sector to do well.
Okay, Tio, I follow you on Twitter and Instagram. Instagram particularly. I don't know how you find the time to go all over social media. You post with all the commitments you have in various sectors of the economy. But I noticed one thing. You are surrounded by women. And most of your posts are about Mama, who is 92 now, or Madame Awele, And then you are what Nigerians would call Baba girls. You have 5 girls, and then the boys, the twins. Yes. So I see family featuring very well on a regular basis. But the question I would like to ask you, from Oge to the younger ones,
wow.
How has that shaped your perception about girl child education and women empowerment and the role of women in society?
No, thanks. So, I mean, you guys are touching the right point because it's good to talk about business, but more importantly, this point. In fact, I wish I had more time for the youth empowerment, this entrepreneurship we talked about, and what the foundation are doing. And now you're talking of gender diversity and gender equality and gender inclusion. I'm so passionate about it. In fact, from home to office, all everywhere, it's about that. And I won't say one discriminates per se, but, to a large extent, my mom played a role in shaping me. And I put that on the social media recently when I celebrated her on her 93rd birthday. That, everything, to a large extent, even, my colleagues wonder why it's like one doesn't ever give up. One is relentless. It's because of what I picked up from her. So I'm a direct beneficiary of the catalytic impact of women in molding and shaping societies. And I want to continue to encourage that. And beyond my mom, I have sisters. One of my biggest confidant and also advisors, my sister, Agatha. She says it the way it is. I will get on that. Then my daughters, I think, is, when you mentioned her name, I was quite touched. I didn't even know her name.
I saw what you posted when she went to LSE.
Yes, exactly. And of course, my wife, once my refuge, and everything. Strong pillar, quiet, but extremely supportive in so many ways. And then in the workplace, again, most of our CEOs, and just not by design, but it kind of happened because, one appreciates the power of women. They get things done also. They are very loyal, they are reliable, and extremely committed. But all of us work together to make it. And girl child education, totally in support. And beyond education, it's about making sure at the table that everyone is there, male, female, all together, and that I'm also, in some African countries where we have very stifling and bad policies, like even land titling policies that discriminate against women. I speak against this. I engage the presidents. I talk to them about this, and I'm happy that in some countries, especially in I think Senegal, has been improved, and some other countries. So it's something that everyone, the time has come for us to realize the immense potential of women in shaping and making a good society.
Well, I'm privileged to know some of your CEOs, past and present. Ifewa is about Gochuku, Dupe Olushola, I have to brag, and Fundola Adewale. Now, my question is, will you be leaving your vast business empire to the girls or to the boys?
So let's put it this way. My number one is Oge, okay? And so I see her as the head of our business, family business. If she decides what she wants to do, but I think the best thing is to just give kids good education, good upbringing, let them know what is right and what's not right values, and also make them understand that life is driven by principles and values, and then they make it different. My daughter, you mentioned, she's in LSE, and she has her monthly. I was discussing with her yesterday, 2 days ago, and 2 days ago, on Monday, public holiday, I was saying, have you? So she gets monthly stipend, And I was asking, have you received your monthly stipend for? She said, no, she had not received. I said, don't worry, there's public holiday in Nigeria. Maybe tomorrow, yesterday, you will receive it. But I said, you shouldn't be out of money because you save. She gets $500 every month. I said, but you save. And she gets it for feeding everything she does in school, everything. I said, but you save, don't you? Say, yes.
$500?
Yes.
For the daughter of Tony Elumelu.
In fact, we discussed it. We even calculated it. I told her when I went to school, I didn't eat 111. so some of these things, some of this is a way of training people. I'm sure she knows if it's about school, we will pay. But on that, and I even encouraged her, I said, even that, make sure you save something from it. And then 2 days ago, I was telling her, I said, okay, so soon I will advise you so you can start saving, investing in stocks, your own stocks, from the little savings you make. It's tough, but we just need to do this thing and just to have a better society.
Okay, that's an interesting lesson in Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Exactly.
Isn't that the title? But thank you very much. We'd like to thank you very much for joining us on the morning show. We've been talking to Tony Elumelu, CON. Thank you for watching.